It's a Mental Health Chat Monday, Season 2. This is a series where we sit down with a brand new guest every week to discuss their journey with mental illness and mental wellness. I am your host, because here on Mental Health Chat Monday, our motto is turning mental illness into mental wellness. I keep forgetting that. My name is DDare Bionic. I am your host. Thank you so very much for tuning in with me today. But I am not why we're here. We already know that. Today we are talking to a beautifully talented, multi-hyphenate, former flight attendant for over 30 years, which I literally just learned moments ago. Playwright, author, voiceover artist, full-time actress. Michelle Dillard is in the house today. How are you?
Hey, I am wonderful. So glad to be here with you, my friend.
I'm so glad to have you. So, Michelle, tell the world a little bit, tell all of our listeners a little bit about yourself and your history and just who you are.
Well, I just want to first say thank you, Darius, for having me on your show. I remember during the pandemic, you gave me the opportunity to interview you.
I remember, yeah.
2020, and you opened my eyes to the topic of mental illness, and how it impacts actors. And how it was impacting other people during the pandemic. So I just want to just thank you for that. And here we are, full circle. You never know how the tables are going to turn.
Yes, thank you so much for that. I remember that conversation. It was a very beautiful conversation, and I was honored to be on your podcast.
Yes. But hello, everybody. I am Michelle Dillard, and like Darius said, I spent most of my life, my time, flying the friendly skies as a flight attendant. And one day I decided, I've had enough. It was the best career I ever had, but I also had another burning desire to be an actor, which I had been doing since I was 17 off and on. But when I decided to retire, I said, I'm going to go into it, invest in myself, go into it full time. And also I said I would invest in my voice. I would get lots of compliments on the airplane and other places, airplane when I would make the PA announcements. And I said, I'm going to pursue this voiceover thing. I began to read lots of books and volunteer radio stations and, went into it full force and took all types of training, still doing training. And now I teach and coach others on how to get into the voiceover industry as well. And as Darius mentioned, I also do a lot of acting on camera and off camera on stage.
Yes, I knew you had been doing voiceover work, and I honestly need to get with you about that because I too, every single day of my life, somebody is like, "Oh my God, you should be doing radio, or you should be doing this or that," or I'm like, I know, I want to use my voice more. And I've over the past year, I have tried more so than ever to try and get into the voiceover world, but.
Yeah. But this is a start. You're doing podcasting, so you're using your voice with that. So that's awesome.
Yes. And I've loved, and I think it comes from just being a kid who grew up with cartoons and like in that era of cartoons where kids were like sucked to the TV because TV was like such a very powerful thing. And I've always loved animated shows and stuff like that. And I was like, ooh, one day I want to be on one of those. I want to be that person, but So Michelle, how is 2023 treating you? Mental health check. How are you? How are things? How is life? You've been booked and busy lately, and we will definitely get into that. But how are you doing in here?
That is a great question, and I'm glad you asked that. More of us need to ask each other that, check in on one another, because we all know how to put on the mask. We all know how to wear the pretty faces, but inside, we could be screaming, really, really, going crazy. But I'm good. I'm well. I've had my days where I'm just like exhausted, tired, or whatever. But I have learned to definitely take a day for myself. To like the other day, I was just sitting in the park. It was a beautiful breeze, just loving, the breeze. And I love to sit around the fountain in Forest Park. I used to walk around the fountain in Forest Park. And but just to sit there and sit and reflect and just unwind, de-roll when you de-roll from a role that you've been playing.
Mhm.
But thus far, the year has been great, and I have no complaints about that. But it is very important, just like you said, just to check in because not everybody's doing good. We pretend, but
Mhm.
not everybody's doing good. But I have learned, honey, let me just tell you, take some naps whenever I want to take a nap, refuel and refresh.
Yes, you better nap.
Yes.
I love that. I and it for me with this podcast, we're in season 2 now. It was important for me to open every single episode with my first question to the guest, checking in with them. And that's why I put also my welcome letter, like you're welcome to share as much or as little as you want to. I'm not here to be invasive. I'm not here to be like, well, you got to tell everybody this traumatic story you shared in kind with me. Like
Mhm.
it's important for me to start really all of my interactions with people, but especially this interaction that is so public, with kindness, with love, and with just a fresh energy that's just so beautiful.
Yes.
I'd like to think.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about your journey with mental health. Have you ever been diagnosed with anything? What is your relation to mental health?
I have never been diagnosed with anything. I have loved ones that are very close and dear to me, which is a task within itself, you
Mhm.
know, um, really living with someone and understanding, or helping support someone through, that particular mental illness. I heard a doctor put it this way: we can't see it, which makes it hard for loved ones to really grasp it and understand it. But they said if they were sitting there with a broken arm, you can clearly see that they are injured.
Mhm.
We can't see when the mind is injured. So you have to really be supportive and love that person through it. And I always say, well, I'm not in that person's head because I'm not going to say what they are or are not feeling on
Mhm.
today. So, but having close loved ones, that's the experience I have had with it. And then I'm gonna go a little bit further with this, and come out of the box a different way,
Okay.
where I feel I personally have been impacted. And your mother probably can relate to this, or your grandmother, and tell you this. Well, we women, we go through menopause.
Mhm.
And let me just tell you, when I started going through menopause years ago, I just felt like I had a lot of down days or depressed days.
Mhm.
You just don't feel like yourself. You're going through all of these hormonal changes. You're hot one time, cold one time. You're irritable. Everybody's getting on your last nerve. Your body's just going through so many things. And then your mind, your inability to remember certain things, your inability to concentrate on certain things, and you find yourself crying and just weeping for no reason at the drop of a hat. And so I just thought one day, because a lot of transition was happening in my life, I was, I had decided to take an early retirement, and I was moving, and I was getting married, got engaged, and there was a couple of deaths in the family. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take advantage of our EAP program, at my job.
Mhm.
And which was the best decision I ever made. It's like when you first get a massage, you're like, why didn't I do this a long time ago? So yeah, so when I went and sat in front of my therapist, to help me talk me through all these changes that were taking place, that it was dearly impacting me mentally, but it helped me through it. Um, but I have learned over the years that mental health definitely is an important conversation that we have to continuously have.
Mhm.
Because even though you may not be experiencing yourself, I guarantee you, you know someone close to you that is. So
At
I really,
least.
really admire what you're doing with this podcast.
Oh, thank you
Yes.
so much. Yeah, I'm as a sufferer, as someone, well, I don't even like the word suffer. I as somebody who has not necessarily dealt with, because having depression and anxiety are things that don't necessarily go away, but having built specific skills around my own personal journey, um, the thing that I found the easy or helped the most was talking about it. And a lot of us don't feel safe or have allies around us that we can talk about our mental illness with.
Mhm.
And so I want to thank you for being that person for the people in your life,
Mhm.
and opening your eyes and your mind to the struggles of those of us who are like, something's going on.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's driving me crazy.
Right.
That's also, I want to double back to menopause. That's something that obviously as a man I will never experience. Well, not necessarily never experience, in a different form maybe, or when I get older something might switch up and change. But menopause specifically is something I will never experience as a man. And I just want to kind of dive a little bit deeper into that, because I do remember when my mom was starting to go the process of going through menopause, and it was a lot of hard days and a lot of, we call them personal summers.
Yeah. Yes.
So talk to me a little bit more about how that kind of impacted your life at that time.
Oh, absolutely. And I went through it kind of early, I felt in life. But they said that the average age is 51 for a
Mhm.
woman. And I hit it somewhere around 45.
Oh wow, okay.
And so it really does change your life and impact. And some people experience it on a totally, totally different level. Of course, you have the hot flashes, the sweating. I mean, some women, I have a friend, I mean, she would be drenched just in a matter of just seconds.
Mhm.
But I wasn't the type that necessarily broke out with sweating, but the flash is like, I couldn't even explain it, but just come up to here and it's like, give me a fan, give me a fan, give me a fan, and it'll last a few seconds. Then you're chilly, and next time you're chilly. But the symptoms that I experienced, like I said earlier, was a lot of insomnia, which I still have, and the inability to concentrate, the inability to memorize certain things, and just being irritated, crying. I remember one time my husband and his wife, we've been married 2 or 3 years or whatever, this second marriage here. And I remember his family was planning something big. It was Christmas. And of course, being the new bride, you want to go be with the family and all that. But I had the worst bout of menopause that day, just crying and just not feeling myself. I said, all I want to do is stay home and watch Leave It to Beaver. I love it. Yeah, I love Leave It to Beaver. Growing up as a kid, watching it, and during the pandemic when I just wanted to laugh because it was so much sadness, that was
Mhm.
my go-to. I get up in the morning, watch a little bit of the Today, about 15, 20 minutes of the Today Show, and then I want to laugh. I would watch Leave It to Beaver and listen to David Arnold. He's a comedian. And after I did my prayer meditation stuff, and David Arnold would have me cracking up. Unfortunately, he passed away about a year ago, but he was hilarious. But I just felt like I needed to laugh. But anyway, so this particular day, Christmas, and my husband, thank God, he fully understood. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go over there and tell my family you're not feeling well. And I'm going to bring you back a plate. And you could just sit here on the couch and chill all day with Leave It to Beaver. And that's what I did. Just watched all the Leave It to Beaver reruns and in between crying. Didn't even know I was crying But it impacts us women, every woman differently. And that's how it was impacted me, being very emotional, the
Mhm.
inability to concentrate, insomnia. So, but it is very real. And sometimes you do feel like you're losing your mind. You really, really do. So, and I don't know if they've ever put that under the heading of mental illness, menopause.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
I don't know that they have, no.
Yeah, but it is something really to think about because of all those hormonal changes you do sometimes feel like you're going to lose your mind. I play a role at St. Louis University. I work sometimes as a standardized patient. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah, I've done it a few times.
Yeah, so most of us have actors that do it, but that's one of the questions that they always, check in with about, your mental status when you're playing this menopausal woman. So, yeah, have lots of experience, on that end with
Hmm.
working that script, but real personal life experience. My husband used to say, uh, you experience in one of those H's when you go through menopause. You hate men, and you're going through hot flashes. Uh, that's what he used to say when we were dating, but it was true, just like, get away from me.
Leave me alone. What are you
Yeah,
doing? Yeah,
right.
I remember I was a teenager, I believe, when my mom first started going through menopause. And I remember being like, where's my mom? No, not really. She was, she had her days and she was more of a crier. She's already a crier anyway. She's a very sensitive soul. So she cries at the drop of a hat to
Yeah,
begin with. So it really was like waterworks every day. I'm like,
right.
we're getting ready to go to college. I'm
I
17.
know.
I'm not
Yeah.
leaving yet. What are you talking about? So you mentioned briefly that you spoke with a therapist kind of at the beginning of going through menopause and like all this transition in your life. So talk to me a little bit about how therapy impacted your life. And are you still seeing a therapist? Is it something you would not entertain, but like go back to if you're not?
Um, I am not at this time, but I absolutely positively will uh, definitely do it again because I saw a therapist years ago, initially when I was going through a divorce from my first marriage, and then it was some other things just going on with life, you know, and this is a funny story, dare I tell it, but I remember when I was flying and they gave you stress leaves if you needed them,
Mhm.
and I was had a long vacation that was getting ready to come up, and my vacation was going to be like I want to say like about 16 days.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I thought, okay, well then I can get some extra time off from work, saying I need a stress leave, and so I went to see the doctor, and it was really so I could just get me some extra time off
Hmm.
and to attack onto that vacation. And but when I went in there and sat down and talked to her, oh my goodness, some stuff came up and the tears kept flowing. And I realized that I really needed to be there. And sometimes you don't, you know why? Because we suppress everything.
Uh-huh.
We'll put that mask on and we'll keep going. And when I walked out of there, she had given me several boxes of Prozac. And I'm like, like I was just trying to get some time off.
I
And
was just getting time off, not medicine. What's going on?
she said, I don't want you to get on a flight this week. I want you to be off for a couple of weeks and you to start you on this Prozac, And I thought, I am not taking this stuff. But what it helped me to understand and see, I needed to be in that seat
Hmm.
because I was not well. I thought I was well. I was pretending, to be well and pressing everything, just suppressing everything. But it began to come up once. So that was so healing and therapeutic. Even though I didn't take the medication, I learned a huge lesson that it's okay when you're not feeling okay to talk
Hmm.
to someone. And then, fast forward, I went to another therapist and again found it so healing, therapeutic, helped me to walk through some things and understand some things, the transition. I just felt better every session I went to. I just felt like it was really helping and healing me to feel normal, if that makes sense.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
yeah. And but to your question, I would absolutely positively do it again.
Yes.
Yes.
I hope that everybody listening right now is taking that that piece about therapy, because I am such a proponent of therapy. I feel like therapy is so important, even if you've never been diagnosed, even if you don't have any mental health struggles,
Right.
even if you just are walking about the day and you feel happy every single day of the week and twice on Sundays. Everybody needs a little bit of therapy. I have said it endlessly in my life, in this podcast, I all the time.
Mhm.
Everybody needs therapy.
Mhm.
And this is actually a great spot, while we're talking about therapy, to hear a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Today's episode of Mental Health Chat Monday is brought to you by BetterHelp. With BetterHelp, the world's largest 100% online therapy service, you can get connected with a therapist and a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists to help you with a wide range of issues. When I signed up for BetterHelp, I was able to specify exactly what I was looking for in a therapist, and I was matched with a therapist that suited my needs. To get started, all you do is answer a few questions about your therapy needs and preferences. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the perfect therapist from their network. From there, contacting your therapist is easy. Call, chat, video call, or text, whatever is more comfortable for you. Message your therapist at any time to set up live sessions when it's convenient for you. And the coolest thing about BetterHelp is that if your therapist doesn't match for any reason at all, you can switch to a brand new therapist at no additional charge. Affordability, online access at your own pace, custom pick therapists. That sounds like my kind of therapy. And what luck you have. You can get 10% off your very first month of BetterHelp using my link, betterhelp.com/MHCM. That's betterhelp.com/MHCM. Now go ahead and get yourself some therapy, baby. And thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Thank you so very much to BetterHelp for sponsoring this season of Mental Health Chat Monday. You can hit the link down below in the description or use the link wherever you're listening to get some money off and help support the podcast. So you talked about jumping back into the episode. You talked about being a flight attendant. I want to know how, because as actors, we exchange energy with the audience, and it's a good energy exchange. It's one of those things where, like, if you go out on stage and you're not feeling the energy from the audience, it's like, am I off? Like, is something going wrong? Like, is it not happening? I want to know how the effect of everybody's energy on an airplane, being a flight attendant, how that impacted you, and how your training as an actor kind of helped you with that.
That's a good question. I feel that, and again, like I said, it was one of the best careers I ever had. And had I not had a desire to pursue, my acting further, and I was just like you get tired of any other job or career. I just felt like a shift was happening. And here's the other thing: going through the menopause, and I'm a pretty easygoing person, nice, whatever. But I felt like the passengers are really starting to get on my last nerve. Okay, what? You want another Coke? I just gave you two. That's what I wanted to say. Another bag of pretzels. Here's your pretzels. No, but I was starting to feel a little bit of that. But you just have to know there's a time and season when things are shifting for you, and pay attention to that. Because if you stay in something too long that you're not supposed to stay in, it becomes stressful. You begin to resent it. And whether that's a relationship, whether that's staying on a job too long, or whatever. But you have to really listen and pay attention to what's going on. That's why it's important to take time to reflect. That's why it's important time to sit down and talk to a therapist, especially during the transition, because They can really help walk you through it, give you clarity on the next step. But also prayer meditation does that for me as well. But as a flight attendant, you travel all over the world, you meet a lot of people, and again, it was the best career I ever had. But there were some challenging days that you went into passengers that attack you for stuff that you didn't even do, didn't have anything to do. It didn't have anything to do with. But what I had to learn also over those years is those people, from the time they make their reservation, they encounter someone. And by the time they, whatever, make it through traffic, get to the airport, then they have to go through security. Then you have to, check your luggage and meet other customer service people. So by the time they get to us in that little bitty tube, if they have not had a good day, we're going to hear about it. The flight attendants are going to get the brunt of it. And everybody wants to be heard. Everyone wants to be listened to. And to me, that's why, that's what people wanted. And that's why we gave them a listening ear, most of us. And we used to have something called a diplomacy kit. And in that diplomacy kit, you were free to give that passenger whatever you wanted out of that diplomacy kit to help them feel better, whether it was a free drink coupon or a free meal in the airport or whatever. You use that at your discretion. But I found people just want to be listened to, want to be heard, want to have someone to vent to. And most of the time, we were that person, especially if it was a long flight. But I met a lot of wonderful and interesting people, famous and non-famous over the years. But there were also those that got on your last nerve, and they, you just took it in and just tried to make their flight as fun and comfortable and relaxing, because really some people are just scared to fly. And if they can see a nice smiling face and a warm voice to make them feel more comfortable. And so that's what I really tried to do those years that I was a flight attendant, because at the end of the day, we get you to your destination. I'm not going to see you again. I get to go to my hotel, layover. If it's a layover in a nice place like Hawaii, Puerto Rico, wherever, I could just, forget about the day and enjoy my layover until, the next day or day after that we have to fly. So, yeah, but people want to just be heard. And therapists, of course, are good at doing that.
Yes, absolutely.
Listening. Yeah, listening.
Yeah, as a customer service, based employee, I work in a restaurant, and we say this thing, some people are just not going to be happy. And there's some people that you just will, no matter what you do, no matter how nice you are to them, they just will not be happy. Like they came into the restaurant unhappy, and they're going to leave the restaurant unhappy. And it's more for us than for anything, because it's like, I'm doing everything in my power to make sure you're having a good experience here.
Yes.
I don't know what to do after that. Like, I can't go and make you a whole new meal from materials we don't have here. Like, I can't, my magic powers don't work that way. I'm sorry. Like, I can only do so much. Yes. And so, it's important, I think, as customer service, customer facing folks, to remember that you're doing your job and you're doing a good job. Now, there are some people who are a little spicy, and calm down, but keep it cute. But it's important. It's important to remember that, they just want to be comfortable. Yeah. You also have to respect yourself. Yes,
absolutely. Yes, you also have to protect yourself. Yeah. Because no matter what you do with some people, and I'll tell this story really quick, but I remember it was a light flight one night. I was working L1 in the front, greeted the people, saying hello as they came on. It was a couple came on with twins, and normally we have to check their strollers. And I mentioned, I said, well, you know what? It's a very light flight. If you want, you can bring your stroller on. I even put it up in the overhead compartment for them. And because their little twins was so cute, talked to them and played with them during the flight, me and some of the other flight attendants. And I don't know what happened. When they were leaving, this is when I said something wasn't right with the lady. And I didn't see it during the flight, but she began to accuse me and the crew as she was getting off being horrible to her, mean to her, her family. And I'm like, wait a minute, what just happened? We talked to you almost the whole flight, played with you, your twins, talked to your husband, y'all laughed and talked with us. And she got in my face, you're a dog, you're just a dog. And the agent who met us, opened the door and all that, he's like, get off of this jetway. You're not going to talk to my employees like that. And I was just thinking, I was in Twilight Zone. What happened?
What
between the time, we helped you on, put the stuff up, communicated with you during the flight, because it was such a light flight. And for you, I could not even figure out what happened. But that woman just went crazy. You're a dog. You're just this dirty dog. And that's when I thought, there's something not right up there, because we treated you with royalty. But people, you never know what people are going through. And you like you say, you have to protect yourself. Try to hold your composure as much as you could. But there's some people you're just not going to please. But that really baffled me. It still baffles me to this day. What happened that to the time you exited? So anyway.
It's the same. That feels similar to like when I'm working a table, we're kikiing and laughing and having a good time, and then they leave me that big old fat zero on a $120, $130, $200 bill, and I'm like, I got you 87 ranches. I laughed with you. I made special arrangement with your food. Like I did everything in my power. What?
Yeah.
So I feel that deeply. It happened. That switch up between coming in and being happy and leaving and being unhappy.
Right.
What happened here?
Right.
One last thing I want to talk about before we get into kind of the exiting of this episode. I want to talk to you just about women, and especially Black women. And this is kind of something we talked about more in the beginning of half of the episode about suppressing emotions. Women, and especially Black women, are literally expected to be these monoliths, this pillar of poise and presentation and nurturing energy. Can you talk to me about a time when not necessarily a time, but like, can you talk to me about how that experience of being a Black woman has affected your acting, the way you go about life, your mental health, what you see in the media? Can you just talk to me a little bit about that? Because the people need to hear.
Yeah, no, that's another excellent question, because we do wear so many hats, and we think we can do everything. That song by Whitney Houston, I'm every woman, it's all in me. I do believe that you can do everything. You can do all things. You just can't do it all at the same time. That's it. And sometimes we could bring that extra stress on ourselves in thinking we can juggle everything by ourselves. And you really, really have to occasionally ask for help. You have to ask for help. And that stigma of, somebody, they're not going to want to help, that they're not going to want to help. So I'm not going to ask. I don't want to bother anybody. And that's me. I don't want to bother anybody, or
that's
whatever.
My mom too.
Yeah. And just planning those events that recently, the event I just had for Until You Walked in Her Shoes, my organization to honor women, celebrating women in the arts. Well, I've been doing that since 2008, not particularly celebrating women in the arts, but celebrating women, period. We honor and celebrate 6 women and that are doing great things in the community. And then, tons of women come, it's a brunch, all of that stuff. We pamper the women. But when I first started that, I loved doing it. And I literally would plan it all by myself, except the day of, I would have different people help me. Well, over the years, I began to realize I can't plan this by myself. I need a team. I need people to help me because I was getting so stressed, and I'm so tired the day of. But there are a lot of things we do. I have to deal with as a woman, Black woman. You are expected, to solve problems. You're expected to. I think about even when on the airplane when I was flying, you were a nurse, a teacher, a therapist. There's so many roles we have to play. And even today, some of the disparities we face as actors, African American women as actors, and the pay is still not the same, between, men and women, even in film and theater, on camera work, it's not the same. But being an actor anyway, it takes tough skin. There's a lot of rejection.
A lot.
Viola Davis says it's 10% work and 90% auditioning. And it really, really is. But you think about that. But you have to keep going. You have to keep pushing because somewhere along there, someone's going to hire you. But just think about all the rejections that you get before you actually get the job. And if you don't have tough skin, you don't have a strong mental capacity, it definitely can impact you. And you have to learn how to just let it roll off of your back and tell yourself, I am good enough. I can succeed. I can do this. And I also coach some women. I'm an inspirational certified coach, but I help women who are empty nesters and women who are retired to reinvent themselves, to rediscover who they can become. Because as an empty nester, and I've been there, done that, my children are grown now, you begin to feel, what next? Because you've been taking care of these children all this time, and it's like, they're gone. What am I going to do? And that's another emotional roller coaster for women. I've experienced it myself. What next? What. But after a year or two, when you get a grasp and you're like, I enjoy this freedom. I'm loving this. So, and then I remember it got to the point of my time, my kids like, where are you? You always gone. Yes, I am. Y'all
listen, Mom, you better answer my phone call. I don't know who you think you are, but you're my mom. Thank you very much. Hello.
Right.
Everybody online knows how I am about my mama. Like, y'all already know. That's my ride or die. That's my girl.
Yes.
Like, where you at?
Isn't it something how the tables turn? We go from where you at? Where are you? You're supposed to be home at a certain time. And then now y'all calling us.
Yep, exactly. It's 7:30 p.m. What you doing out with your friends still?
I'm gonna tell you this funny story real quick. When I had gone through a divorce. It had been a few years, and I just started dating my new husband. Well, he ain't new. We've been married 10 years, but anyway, he was living in Houston. But anyway, he had took me to the Kim concert. It was a Kim concert here in St. Louis, and this was literally about 11, 12 years ago. And I, he got me backstage to take a picture with Kim. And I had posted it on Facebook one day as a joke. And I said, this is when I used to date Kim years ago. I said, not, but I'll let y'all figure out what part of the story is true. But I love to meet some Kim. But anyway, and I hadn't even really started dating my husband, because we were just really, really good friends from years ago, since we were 17. But he's like, okay, Kim is in town. I'm gonna send you some tickets. You take one of your best girlfriends, Well, I couldn't find anybody to go who was available. He said, okay, well, then I'll just fly in and take you. And then I didn't know he had set it up for me to get pictures back there with Kim. And so when you were talking about, Mama, where you at? So I had this picture and I had it sitting on the table. And so my son had come to town to visit. I wasn't at the house. He let himself in the house. And my nieces were with him. They drove up from out of town. And he had taken the picture and brought it downstairs like, who does my mom on this picture with? Because his dad was divorced. This ain't my daddy. Who is she on this picture with? And he didn't even know it was Kim. And my niece is like, your mama, she need to have somebody too. She get the date. She don't need the date. She got Jesus. That's all she needs.
Oh, if that don't sound like me and my siblings with my mama. Oh my God.
But I thought that was just so funny. But yeah, just being an African American woman, just a lot of things we have to deal with and face. It can bring on just a lot of mental anguish and stress. And I just think about a few friends personally who just were not strong enough, to handle and juggle all that. And but they're better now because due to therapists, medication, and just better. But we cannot take this thing called life for granted. And we cannot take this thing, our minds, for granted. And because we have to face a lot of disparities. And I just think about back on life, how my mother made it, how she did it, when my parents split up. She had 5 kids. She was raising on her own. Yeah. And it's just like, I remember one time the bomb pop truck was coming and I wanted a bomb pop, and how they came through the neighborhood. I remember running the house asking my mama for money. She's like, girl, I don't have no money. And I'm like, yes, you do. You're grown up. You're supposed to have money. And I said, let me see your wallet. And I opened her wallet. It was nothing in it. I was like, I couldn't fathom that. What do you mean you don't have no money? You grown up. You're supposed to have money. And her favorite line was, just keep on living. She's always say that, just keep on living. Well, there came a time in my life where my wallet was empty and I'm like, I understand.
I get it now, Mama. I get it.
Yes, I get it now, But I tell you, we are resilient. Mm-hmm. But African American women are resilient. I mean, women, period. We can multitask. We can do all kinds of things, run a household, clean the household and go out and work full time. Mm-hmm. But we forget to check in here. And we'll keep going and keep going until, there's a crash. It'll blow up. It may come out in a different and ugly way. And I think because of Darius, the stigma that's been associated with mental illness all of these years, we have kept our mouths closed. Mm-hmm. As women, suffering through, poverty, abuse, and all kinds of other things, we experience as women. But even if you have the best of life, you didn't, experience, a hardship or a bad relationship, you could be wealthy and be the saddest person in the world. You can have all kind of money and be just sad. And I've learned and seen that over the years. But I enjoy being an actor. It's had its ups and downs. And again, if you don't have tough skin, it can definitely wear on you mentally after receiving so many no's. But I always tell women, like I said, the women that I coach, that are trying to reinvent themselves are the women who have gone through retirement, because you feel that loss, whether it's in a woman who is trying to reinvent herself due to being an empty nester, or, okay, you retired, it still feels like a loss. That's why therapy is so important, to get you refocused and just give you time to reflect and just reevaluate where you want to go. And I let the women know you absolutely can reinvent yourself. Yeah, you've been this person for the last 10, 20 years, but now you have the opportunity to start something new, start something afresh. And if that means going to see a therapy for a few weeks, take advantage of it. Take advantage of it.
I have to write that down. I'm sorry that I try to pull something from
Mhm.
each guest as the title of the episode. I don't have nothing to write on near me. That's crazy. I'm sitting at my work desk with nothing to write on. You said it's okay to reinvent yourself.
Mhm.
And that we
It's
all need to hear.
Yeah, to reinvent yourself, get refocused, refreshed, and reflect. And let me just tell you this: what most people don't do enough of: take a vacation.
hmm
Take a vacation, because and if you have a full family structure, you need a vacation with your spouse. You need a vacation with the children. Then you need a vacation by yourself with your girlfriends, your boyfriends, or whomever,
hmm
to really just get rejuvenated and just really get revived. And when you come back into your family structure, you know, you left
You're
wanting to,
completely reset.
you
It's
reset. You left wanting to kill everybody, and you come back, and you more revived and rested and refreshed. Because that's what it is. A lot of time we just need to rest,
Mhm.
and just, even if it's just a weekend spa, you know, for a weekend. Could be just to sit in a hotel and and leave the TV off and just read, and or if you can afford to go out of the state, just take a long drive. But it's so important to disconnect and then reconnect, and you come back better. But I learned to reinvent myself after I left the airline. And like I said, I wanted to go into the acting full force and the voiceover, and did lots of training, still doing lots of training and teaching and being coached myself and coaching others. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And I feel like I'm right where I want to be.
Mm.
And I give it all thanks to God, because I feel like my faith helps me through all of that. And some people, especially in the Christian arena, it used to be this stigma. Oh, you don't need it. You have God. You don't need to see a therapist. It was taboo. But God gave us doctors,
Mhm.
He gave us therapists, and you use both in conjunction. And by you saying, okay, God, I need your help. I'm not feeling well mentally. I'm too scared to tell anybody. I don't want anyone judging me. As a woman, I'm trying to take care of these kids by myself. I'm in an abusive relationship, or I'm with a husband who doesn't help out at all. I feel like I'm just losing it. And you can pray, but there are times where you need more.
Mhm.
You need more, and it's okay. And I say that to women of faith out there. The reality is, yes, we have God and we love God and we could pray, but God also gave us therapists and doctors, and it's okay. It doesn't make you a weak person because you take the time out to, hey, I'm going to go see my therapist at least once a month. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you don't have faith.
Mhm.
It means you have common sense.
The one thing that I took, I'm not as religious, or really, I don't know that I can even consider myself a Christian anymore, but I believe in a higher power and
Mm,
all of that good stuff. But the one thing that I took from my childhood being raised in the church was faith without works is dead.
yes,
And it's something that even in a more spiritual aspect or realm of life,
hmm,
you can manifest, you can pray, you can do all these things. But if you are not actively working to fix or to gain or to do something about it,
that's true.
you just speaking into the ether, baby.
That's it.
You're just speaking into the ether. You have to, like you said, you have to use the two in conjunction.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like, it just, that and love, those are the two things I took from my upbringing with
Oh,
me.
yeah.
That faith without
Absolutely.
works is dead. I say that all the time, and like my friends are like, what? I'm like, hey, I
It's
grew
true.
up in it. It's the truth. It's
Yeah.
the truth,
Yeah.
no matter
Because
what
people
you
walk
believe,
around
no matter
all
who
day
you
and
believe
say,
in. Yeah.
I need a job. I want a job. Well, if you don't go out there and apply, you know what, you're not gonna get a job.
Right. You know where you're gonna be sitting?
Right.
Jobless.
Right.
Unless you try to do something about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to just thank you for everything that you just said. Because first of all, Black women need to hear it. And I am just I have such a, was raised by a single mom, and I have such a respect and a love for women and for Black women specifically. And I only ever want the best for them. And I want every woman to know, every woman and every Black woman to know that, like you said, you can reinvent yourself. You are not the things the world says that you are. And to hear it from a Black woman, such a strong, powerful Black woman such as yourself.
Thank you.
Baby, if they don't get it, they don't get it. But like, that was a word and a message. I have chills up and down my spine just listening to you. And so I thank you so much for that. That was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
One of my favorite quotes, and it's one I made up. I said, as long as you have breath in your body, you still have time to do whatever it is that your heart desires. As long as you have breath. And I teach it to the women that come, as long as you have breath, you're not dead. They say the most wealthiest place is the cemetery because people die with their dreams. But after you get rid of if you just step out there, get rid of the fear, do it afraid, and just realize, hey, I wake up every morning, I still have breath. Thank you, God. What's next? What can I do next?
Step out on faith.
Yes. Well, to contribute to society, to fulfill my dreams, to pursue my passions. As long as you have breath in your body, you still have time to do what it is you want to do.
Hey, man, listen, you done took us to church up in here. You better preach. Oh my God, Michelle, this has been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much for being here. I just have one final question for you.
Yes, sir.
Here on Mental Health Chat Monday, we have a motto. I said at the top of the episode, turning mental illness into mental wellness. What does mental wellness look like to you?
And I wanted to tell you, I like that title when I saw that when I was reading through everything. Repeat it for me.
Turning mental illness into mental wellness.
Yes, I like that. What that means to me is we can physically work out, we can exercise all the time. We talk about being in good health. And sometimes we forget about our mental wellness. We forget about our mental well-being. And just people like you checking in with everyday normal people like me.
Oh,
let's talk about it. You let's talk about this, Michelle. How are you? How you doing? I see you busy and all that, but it doesn't mean that I'm okay. Doesn't mean that I'm okay. But mental wellness, being able to be well mentally, I just cannot take it for granted, especially, having loved ones that I know what they battle, what they go through, the anxiety, the depression and so forth. But we just cannot take it for granted. I thank God every day that I have a sound mind. And just like you take time to exercise physically, take time to exercise this so that you can stay well mentally. And I'm no expert at it, but I know what I have to do for me to stay healthy up here. And learning to just step back, turn off the phone if you have to, shut down social media, and literally, my routine usually is, because I wake up anyway with an insomnia, a lot, been a menopausal woman. But my routine, I do my prayer, meditation, read my word. That's what's for me. I do my stretching
Mhm.
And I like to look at something that makes me laugh. Laughter is good for the soul. So that's part for me of the mental wellness, making sure that I'm okay mentally, spiritually, emotionally, um, physically, financially. If those things are in order, then my mental wellness is going to be okay.
Yes, I love that. Yes, yes, yes. And I want to mention, and I don't think I've mentioned this in any episode. The the mental illness into mental wellness is, I kind of talked about at the top of this, where the thing that helped me the most was talking about my mental illness with other people.
Hmm.
And it's taking that I feel like I can't, I feel like, and they say it takes a real village to raise a child, but you also need a village as adults. So it's that changing that I from a we. We can build better. If I have people around me, I can become stronger because they help me build up. So it's not just like illness and wellness. It's also going from feeling alone and isolated to feeling in community with other people. So there's a lot going on in my brain when I was thinking about that. But yeah, I thank you for mentioning that. And I wanted to mention that at some point. I just never really got around to it. But
Hmm.
thank you for all the words, for all of the absolute gems that you have dropped on us today, Michelle. Is there anything that you want to plug? Any things coming up? Any workshops or anything like that? I know you always got something going on.
You're absolutely right. I do. But um, just and I can't mention it quite yet, but I do have a book coming out surrounding mental illness.
Ooh.
Because, like I said, we have loved ones that, yeah, so it's going to be surrounding that. But an ebook that I have coming out really soon, and that's separate from what I just mentioned, is called Vocally Polished. And I'll keep everybody posted on that. But Vocally Polished is mainly for entrepreneurs who are not so comfortable with speaking in public, are conducting that sale, garnering that sale. I mean, you may have a business, but it doesn't mean that you're necessarily vocally polished, that you're able to properly communicate in how to get that sale or whatever it is that you're trying to do as an entrepreneur. Because there was this program I went through in Harris Stowe. As a matter of fact, they're getting ready to start it back up. Anybody that's interested, it's free 8-week program, and they have a startup, and they have a if you already have your business, I forget that other term, but for people who have startups and those that just want to scale up, that's it, scale up. Totally free program. I learned so much right down in Harris Stowe, and I remember thinking, I need a new computer. My webcam had went out on the other one. And little did I know that at the end of that 8 weeks, they gave us 3 choices that we're going to be giving you all a gift for completing the program. And it was free office space and free QuickBooks. And then, or you can get a laptop. So I ended up with a free laptop. Yeah. And
Yes.
yes. And then they have a pitch program, which is what inspired me to write the book. They teach you how to do a pitch when you're trying to get money for a particular project. So there's a pitch contest, and you could win 10,000, 7,000, or 5,000. Oh yes,
Oh,
that's
wow.
the kind of money they gave away at the end of that program. But anyway, I noticed as we all did our presentations how so many people just were not comfortable, although they were entrepreneurs, in speaking in front of people, or doing a pitch. So I wrote an ebook called Vocally Polished, just how to speak more polished. It doesn't matter what platform that you're on, because it really can impact your sales. It really can impact whether or not people do business with you. So that book is called Vocally Polished. It's almost finished being edited, but that will be coming out in the next month or two. That is the next thing that I have coming up. And then on the 11th, we're doing a reading, a staged reading with Prism Theater.
Yeah.
That's coming up. So just keep your eyes open for that and other great stuff down the road. But I don't want to take up time talking about that. But I thank you so much for having me. It's been very enlightening. And again, my brother, this is your calling. This is your calling because you are bringing awareness to this. Especially in the African American community, where we have suppressed this, hidden this, either because we couldn't afford to go to the doctor, go to a therapist, and we just dealt with it. But things are different now. We can see therapists. We can, but I just love you having that conversation. And I can't wait to see another play surrounding this.
I have one that has been in the works for quite some time. I need to get back on focus and really, really dive into it. I have two actually that are in development. I have one it's about not PTSD, but postpartum depression. And so I'm writing in collaboration with women. So I'll probably be reaching out to you again to talk about that. Again, something I would never experience, but I just had this idea and it's so strong in my head. And then another one that's kind of like a dark comedy that's still about mental illness that I'm writing for myself and my partner and our friend to all be in together. So
that is so awesome. And I love how you are including women in that, thinking about that postpartum depression is real. PMS is real. And menopause. So all three of those, I don't know if you'll be able to tie that all into that play. But
I hope to.
Are real.
I really hope to. And truly and honestly, I think when I first had the idea, I posted something on social media. I was like, hey, I have this idea for this play. It feels really important just from the women that I've talked to in confidence about it, like behind closed doors. Is this something I can do as a man? And I prefaced it with, I will not just be like, well, this is what happens when women go through postpartum. No, I want to talk to women. I want to interview women. I want women to be at the forefront of this project. I just want to be the vessel for the words. I don't want to be, the idea and the concept are mine, but every experience I want to come directly from women. I can't I just have so much respect for women. I just do.
Awesome. And your mother and your grandmother, they'll have a lot to add, your aunts or whatever. Yeah, definitely. So walk in your passion, my brother. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really
just walk in your passion and purpose. And you're doing it now with writing the stories, the plays, and doing this podcast. And who knows, a book may come out of it later, sir. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. There's so many ways that we can reinvent ourselves, but we're entrepreneurs as well. See, people don't think as actors and that we are entrepreneurs. We are entrepreneurs. We
are the product.
We are the product. We're the business. Just what you're doing with the podcast. You're making money from that. That's your plays will make you money. We're entrepreneurs. And so add author to your list. It's easier than you think.
All right. I will. Done.
Yes.
All right. Michelle, thank you so much for being here. And everybody out there watching and listening, thank you all so much for tuning in to another beautiful episode of Mental Health Chat Monday. Again, my name is DDare Bionic. I will link everything that Michelle has mentioned down below. Keep an eye out for all that stuff because let me tell you, the goods are good when they're gooding, and they are definitely good over here. And if you want to follow me, I am DDare Bionic on all social media. It's called branding. Look it up, and I will see you all in the next episode. Love you. Mean it. Bye.